Ooh, welcome to the Ringer NFL show. I'm Sheil Kapadia. Today we are looking at the Week 11 slate. It is the usual Friday exercise. What headlines are we going to be seeing next week after these games are played? I got to say, this might be the best Sunday slate of the year. We got Seahawks, Rams. We got Eagles, Lions, those two matchups in the NFC. Then in the AFC, Chiefs, Broncos. And then there are just some games that could get weird, like the Bucs going to Buffalo to take on the Bills. So this shapes up to be a really fun weekend. We are going to make some predictions. Guest today, Marc Sessler from the Heed the Call podcast, one of the most creative minds in NFL podcasting. Can't wait to hear what he has to say. And then, of course, we finish the show with the Ringer 107. 5-0 last week. Let's keep it going. All right, let's take a break. We come back with the headlines. This is the Ringer NFL show presented by FanDuel, the best place to bet the NFL all season long. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live, and your way so you can build the bet that fits your play. And Missouri, get excited because FanDuel's coming your way December 1st. Download the FanDuel.com/Ringer NFL to get started. Must be 21 plus and present in select states and 18 plus in DC, Kentucky, and Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. We are back here with Marc Sessler talking headlines we're going to see next week after Week 11. Marc, I don't want to put pressure on you, but I've heard you do these exercises over the years, and so I was very excited to have you as the guest today.
Yeah, well, I think my talent is always waning, so I hope I can. I hope I can please you. There is some pressure, so.
All right. Well, you get it. We always let the guest start first here on the preview show. So go ahead. Give me your first headline that we're going to be reading next week.
Okay, I'm going to go to Tampa Bay at Buffalo. And my headline, and I just to be real, when I had to come up with headlines as an editor back in the day, they were this might not be the best thing that you're at. This might not be your top talent, but we'll see. This would be no show in Buffalo, : Bills sip on identity crisis after Baker cooks up 4-touchdown feast.
Whoa. Okay. So you are predicting that the Bucs are going to go in there and all this panic we've heard about the Bills, it's going to turn out being legit. And you think Tampa's going to go in there and win that football game?
I really do. I'm wrong all the time, but something about the Bills, and I mentioned this on our own show, it's I don't know what it is. I feel like the energy is a little off. Everyone's into energies and vibes and all this stuff. And something about the Josh Allen experience over the last couple of weeks, I just see a guy who's a little down. And I wonder if there's a disconnect between Josh Allen and the offensive coordinator, the system, the lack of a dominant wide receiver, the tools around him. I think they're a very, very good team. They've proven me wrong because I kept picking them week after week. I think Baker and the Bucs they're missing people all over the place. They might get Bucky Irvin back, which would be a big addition. But for me, it's just if there's a kind of berserker team out there that could create chaos on the road, I feel like Tampa's that's the kind of team that could do that. Both teams got run over big time last week. So the ground game matters, but I'm sort of just throwing that out there as I seek high levels of chaos, and a Bills loss at home to the Bucs would be chaos level 100.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying. I have the two parts of my brain. I have the Sessler half, which I hear what you're saying. I was last week, I'm man, Josh Allen looks really sad. It doesn't feel just like a sweep it under the rug loss. And then I've got, the nerd part of my brain.
Right.
It's we do this every year with the Bills. Are we really doing this dance again in November where it's what is it this year? Is it their defense? Is it the lack of wide receiver? And then I'm just going to wake up one, chilly morning, the end of December, early January. I'm going to open up the standings. Oh, the Bills have won between 11 and 13 games and the playoffs are about to start. And we wasted a lot of words in November and December talking about. So I really am torn because I understand what you're saying. I see it with my own eyes. When you watch the Bills, I mean, they're not used to getting blown out like that, like they did last week. I was just looking at like their worst losses during the Josh Allen era, and that's like right up there. So that concerns me. You know, last month or a few weeks ago, there was that Falcons game where I'm like, man, the Bills don't really look good here. So I'm a little bit torn here. I like the other side. I'm going to have the nerd brain take over here and be like, Sheil, you're not doing this again. Like, they are a good team.
You've learned.
I've learned. They got Josh Allen. They're going to score points. Don't just look at they just beat the Chiefs 2 weeks ago. They're going to be fine. The Bucs aren't ready for this. So that's kind of where I'm at with this game.
No, I think that's fair because I'm battling my own, I'm like it's my impulse versus my own logic. Cause my logic is where you're at. We're like, they're going to find a way into the playoffs and they're going to take care of business, especially at home, in, you know, mid to late November against a team from Florida. But I just feel like something's a little different. And maybe it's the Patriots experience involved in all that too, where it's like this division isn't just handing you handouts and feed outs at this point. Like, you've got someone coming after you, and like, can they handle that? It just feels like a lot of pressure on the Bills. They feel pressure packed to me. Where the Bucs, a lot of injuries, but they feel kind of fancy free and they're rolling. And like, there never was a lot of pressure on the Bucs. Now, does any of that matter? I don't know. But like, can you roll into Buffalo and handle business? Like, Baker's the one guy that I feel like is going to take it down to that final drive, no matter what, week after week after week. It's a repeat, and I like the repeat. I like Baker Mayfield.
I do like your point about the pressure because this is the worst. If you're a Bills fan, this is it's not the worst place to be as a fan base. Obviously, when your team just sucks, that's the worst place to be. But when you have a good team or a player like Josh Allen who you root for, this is kind of the worst time, because you had the climb and they're fun and, they're the it team. And, oh my gosh, we're going to be doing this for 10 years. And then you had that window for a while and it's like, all right, we didn't do it this year, but hey, this was only the second year we've been good. Now we'll do it next year. And now they're in that zone and the Ravens are in the same place where it's like, man, we've kind of been doing how many more chances do we get at this? We've been doing this for a while. Is this finally going to be the year? It sort of doesn't feel like it with the way we're playing. So I do think that's true. I do think that wears on people. And the other thing that kind of lends itself to what you're saying is that wouldn't make me feel great if I were a Bills fan that like it's known that my GM tried to acquire like some big names at the trade deadline and struck out, because that's when they have to tell us what do they actually think about their team. And, the reports that they were going after Quinnen Williams and Jalen Waddle and didn't get them. Like those are, they kind of it seems like they felt like they needed a big boost and they didn't get it at the trade deadline.
Well said.
So there you go. All right. Mark says, wow, I feel like that's going to be an exciting game. I would be very disappointed if we're, now on our respective podcasts on Sunday night, if we're not like, oh my gosh, Bucs Bills, this was crazy. And it's a snoozer. So yes, definitely looking forward to that one.
We deserve it.
We deserve it.
This
is a good week. So yeah, always about us. I mean, I think the audience would agree. There's no doubt about it. All right. I'm going to get to my first headline here. Mikey Mack's defensive masterpiece lifts Seahawks to top of NFC West. Now, let me be clear. I have no idea if anyone actually calls Seahawks, coach Mike McDonald, Mikey Mack. If they don't, maybe they start now. Maybe we start it now. You're Sessy, so why can't he be Mikey Mack? I would say that's only appropriate, Mark, but I think this is a tough game. I'm not going to come in here and be like, I feel 100% convicted, but as I was trying to decide who I'm going to pick to win, I was just like, man, this is maybe the best defensive play caller in the NFL in Mike McDonald going up against maybe the best offensive play caller in the NFL in Sean McVay. If you look at stuff like DVOA, these are the two best teams, not in the NFC, but in the entire NFL. So this is a treat for us here in week 11. And I just feel like this could be a Mike McDonald coming out party, where it's like, all right, he did a good job last year, but they didn't make the playoffs. And this year they've been good, but have they had that sort of signature win against a team that everyone thinks this is a great team, and he's come out and kind of just slammed the door on them? I don't think they've quite had that yet. So I don't know how they're going to do it, because that Rams offense is really good. I always go back to like whenever a great quarterback loses, it feels like we're like, oh, 4-man rush, didn't have to blitz and they were able to pressure him. So maybe that's the formula for the Seahawks. The pass rush has been very good, but I like Seattle here. Where does your mind go with this matchup, Seahawks versus the Rams?
I think Seattle is because of how quickly they've grown up before our eyes, one of the most interesting teams in the league. And it's the kind of team that can pleasure the nerds. It can pleasure those that love brutality. It can pleasure the guy at the bar. It's kind of everything, right? And they are very solid all over the place. And you're right. When a team changes, and it kind of reminds me of like the Patriots in the AFC, where it's like, wait a minute, we thought differently a year ago about these two squads. But Seattle, if you go and do this, you go to LA, not that LA is a tough place to play. We get that. Like, I live here and it's like going to be half Seattle fans. They travel well, but like, it is a massive accomplishment to go and disrupt the Matthew Stafford experience right now. He has been pristine. The Rams, to me, might be the best team in the league, but I would say that Seattle might be the second best team in the league. And like, if you do look at the deeper analytics and stats, there's a lot to play out with both of those teams on that front. It's funny because like Seattle's defense is doing this without like a Myles Garrett type figure involved. It's not that there's a Lawrence Taylor here. It's like, it is the scheme. And I think you've got to, I said on our show today, that if I were to have someone, I guess, someone birth a child in my name, I would call them 13 personnel, because that's what you've got to deal with at this point with the Rams. And if you can stop that, if you can slow that down, like, I really think Seattle is an incredibly interesting developing team. I think they can do it. I think they're the team to do it. Like, it's kind of a fascinating fact that this is happening in the NFC West. It's a wild division.
Yeah. The 13, I was joking yesterday about, I'm like, I can't go on any type of social media without, some film nerd just telling me about all this. There, the
it's
three
everywhere.
Tight ends. Yeah, it is. But you're right. It is a big deal, but it's also like, all right, we get it now. So you know what, Mikey Mack, maybe you go in there and you just shut down that 13 personnel. I do like your description of the Seahawks, that like sometimes there's a team where it's like, all right, the nerds are in line. The people who just like to sit down, have a beer and watch the game, they're like, oh yeah, this team's pretty fun. The film people, I don't know what we call that. I was thinking, not to flex, Mark, but I felt like, in high school, I could sit with the jocks, the nerds, the stoners. I felt like I was pretty, able to meld in to different groups. So I don't know if it's the lunch table team or what, or if we need to work on that. But I do like describing some teams like that.
I think it's not a chameleon, because I think that lowers it. That sounds more like you're fooling people. I think you're like a lunchroom. You bring people together in that high school environment. And I think the Seahawks find a way to appeal to all sorts of types, and that's a rare skill. Also winning helps. That seems to appeal to all sorts of types too. So
yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, no, there's so much to look at in this matchup. I mean, the Seahawks have been so run heavy, and then they're using that play action to hit on the explosive plays. Are the Rams the team that comes in and says like, all right, you want to run the ball? Prove to us you can do that the entire game, because we're not going to just let Sam Darnold do play action and then hit JSN for a 40-yard bomb like he does every single week. You've got that. You mentioned the tight end stuff. How does Mike McDonald defend those guys? Is he like, all right, you want to run the ball with those guys? Go ahead. We'll give up some yards on the ground, but we're not just going to get beat through the air. So I think this is one where we'll watch it live. It'll be fun. And then afterwards we'll be like, they did this. Wow, that was really cool, because they're going to have to play again this season. And who knows what's going to come down the line in the playoffs.
Maybe 2 more times.
2 more times. Could be 2 more times in the playoffs as well. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll get to 2 more games. This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right, we are back here on the Ringer NFL show. All right, Mark, you're up. What's your next headline here?
Okay, we're going to Detroit at Philadelphia, and I've got, again, a longer than needed headline, not skilled in the trade, but Philly Tussle chaos reigns as Big Dom and AJ Brown tumble into locker room wrestling bout following ugly loss to Lions.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Well, I did pick the Lions to win this game. Now, I would say Big Dom I would say he would be the one separating AJ Brown from someone else in this tussling match. So maybe it looked initially, like it was those two, but I think his role would be separating AJ Brown from whoever AJ Brown might be furious with after this game, because he is unhappy after every game. He is miserable being with the Philadelphia Eagles this year. There's no hiding that. But it's something you have to keep an eye on basically after every game. So you think this kind of just gets worse for the Eagles after the week that they've had and sort of after the weird season they've had, even though they are the 1 seed in the NFC right now, it just feels like a very unsettled team.
It's not 2 years ago when they fell off the side of a cliff. It's not that. I think that first of all, their defense is, especially with the addition of Jalen Phillips, who just was fantastic in his first appearance in the Vic Fangio defense. Like, I don't doubt them as an overall experience, but they can't seem to get away from little issues and drama. They're a dramatic team, and AJ Brown is filling that role very well right now. So, and I think the thing is that I don't know if that part of it is solvable. Like, it's not like, wow, we turn the page and suddenly AJ Brown is part of this offense under a new play caller in the way that we would want him to be. He's on my fantasy team. He's crucified the season is over. It's been a disaster, right? And
he told everyone to drop him this week. I don't think I've heard a player say that before. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And I think the thing is he's speaking publicly, and I think he knows. It's like someone said, like, how does he not know that would get out there? Yes, he does. Like, we're all smart. We're adults. We're all on social media. We know that's going to get out there. But it's like this is a ground-based offense, and I think we've got to accept what they are to some degree. It looks a little bit different, and they win games. And so I think that, I don't think they're going to go get blown out by the Lions necessarily, but I do think that these two teams are willing to change their identities. And I mean by one thing, like Howie Roseman going out and getting a Jalen Phillips, like add guys to make you better in places that matter. And then if you're Detroit, Dan Campbell taking over play calling. And if you go look at that box score from last week, and if you go watch the game with your eyes, their stars were stars. Jahmyr Gibbs, like Jameson Williams, like exploded. Like I just think that Dan Campbell is just starting to spin novelization, poetry, beautiful words, and he's kind of really talented at this. He knows his players as well as any head coach does. He's a player's coach. He knows their hearts. And I think that might be the secret formula for them kind of going on a big, big run down the stretch. And Philly could be the victim this week. Drama versus capability.
Yeah, it was a gutsy move for Campbell, because it's a lot of times you wait until the team is like really struggling, and they had lost one game to the Vikings, but I don't think after that game, no one was like, oh man, Lions don't have it this year. It was like, all right, that was a bad game. This is still a very good team, and they've had good games earlier this season. So to whatever information he has that we don't have, he's got it privately where he felt like, nope, we need to change now before this thing gets worse, and I'm taking over here. And then to do it, like you said, they didn't punt in that game. 5 touchdowns, 3 field goals. The offense looked fantastic. So yeah, I do think I'm with you on the Lions. I think they're going to be a very good second half team. I think they're going to win that division. I think they're going to be like a top 2 or 3 seed in the NFC. I'm with you there. The AJ Brown stuff is, the Lions play a lot of man coverage, which the Eagles have told us this year that AJ Brown against man coverage is great. We don't see a lot of man coverage. I don't totally buy that. If it was that easy, Mark, everyone would just play zone against every good receiver, and they would never get the football. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Now, you mentioned we all are on social media. Now, are you familiar with Twitch? Are you a Twitch guy? Because that's where this whole story broke this week, and I had to have our Philly special producer, Cliff, kind of explain the world of Twitch to me.
I am familiar, not of late, but Kyler Murray is like a massive Twitch guy, number one. But like, there was a time when, and I am a bit of an insomniac that can't sleep well, and like, I used to go on to Twitch and you can follow like people that travel through the streets of whether it be Europe or Asia or Australia, and kind of to just take you on their journey. And so I found it as like a different source of viewing than Instagram or just, scrolling. But it's been a while. I think there's also another side of Twitch that is a little, I wouldn't want my children to go on it. Let's put it that way. So yeah.
Now, are you familiar with, did you ever follow Janky Rondo on Twitch, Mark? I don't know if you're familiar with the name.
No.
Okay.
Not yet, at least. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I learned of Janky Rondo this week because that's who AJ Brown was, talking to.
Sure. That guy. Yeah.
On Twitch. So yeah, he seemed like a great guy. Janky Rondo. He was trying to be like, AJ, come on. Like, I'm just asking how you're doing. You don't need to make something out of this. And AJ's like, things are going horrible. What do you mean? How are things going? So yes. And a story out of nowhere.
The Twitch Adam Schefter. Like he got an incredible scoop there.
Listen, and then we did a little research and found out his following. I said, we might need a collaboration with Janky Rondo. This guy knows how to build a following. So yeah, stay tuned. Who knows? Future Ringer employee?
That's exciting.
I mean, I'm not saying yes, but I'm not saying no either, Mark, for Janky Rondo. All right. Look forward to getting to know him a little bit more. All right, last game here. I got the last one. My final headline for the week. Chiefs make statement. We still own the AFC West. So the Chiefs go to Denver to take on the Broncos. I think there's going to be some sort of like a mic catches them saying something, or they're going in the tunnel and, Chris Jones, something where they're little brothering the Broncos. Like, you guys thought the season starts now and we're coming for what's ours. And that's we don't lose the AFC West. We've won it 9 years in a row. You had a cute little lead, but guess what? We just smacked you down in Denver and we're going to play you again. And we're going to win this division at the end of the season. So I like the Chiefs in this game. Now I might be wrong. How do you feel? Chiefs going to Denver to take on the Broncos?
I think Denver's one of the toughest places to play. When I was young, I went skiing there and I spent the first day with like motion sickness and altitude sickness. It's like, you got to get in there at the right time and figure all that out. But you're right. Sean Payton was brought to Denver to tussle and beat Kansas City. Like everyone in that division, it has one goal, and it's to figure out how to beat Kansas City. And the Broncos, I think, are structured in a way defensively where you're close. You're missing your best player in Patrick Surtain. That's not great this week. But I totally get what you're saying, and I agree with you, because I think that the Chiefs, coming off a bye week with Andy Reid, and if you go look at what Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs do off of bye weeks, it's like daddy's home. Like, hey Broncos, you're the one team where we look at your record in the standings, and a bunch of us kind of are just like, I don't know if I buy it. Like, I kind of need Nancy Drew to come out and help me figure out what the Broncos are, because they're a little mystifying to the eye, certainly on offense and at the quarterback position at this time right now, compared to the record. And so is it a false flag? Like, the Chiefs, record-wise or not, like, I completely believe that they can go anywhere and win any game. So it's like, I totally think that your faith inside a divisional clash goes with Kansas City here. I think also Kansas City of the last couple of weeks are a very different team than we were experiencing for the rest of this regular season.
Yeah, I'm with you on all those points. I mean, they need this game. They're coming off a bye. It's a division game. They're healthy. Maybe they get Josh Simmons, the rookie, has been practicing this week. Their offense has really played well this season. So there is a scenario, like you said, Denver's a hard place to play. The Broncos pass rush could get after Mahomes. Whenever the Chiefs lose, it's always, again, the pass rush just got after Patrick Mahomes. They couldn't protect him. So that's possible, but I just feel like with the stakes, the Chiefs are going to be ready here. I was looking at The Athletic. They have one of those playoff simulators, Mark, and they said the Chiefs' chances of winning the AFC West if they lose here drop down to 7%. And maybe it's just because of what we've seen. In my brain, I'm like, it can't be at 7% after 11 weeks. Like, they're going to win this football game. Now, on the flip side, to your point, Sean Payton was brought there to dethrone the champs. And if he has just like an unbelievable game plan and they're going up and down the field, or if Bo Nix plays really well. I personally can speak from kind of been waiting for it, where it's like, this is kind of an up and down experience with kind of more, he hasn't made that leap from his rookie season, but this is a big spot where he could sort of change the narrative if he plays really well in this game. So yeah, it could be a stop doubting me game. Maybe he's the one yelling after this, saying, shut up, Kapadia. Someone sent me that clip of what you said about me on the Ringer NFL show. So this one could go in a number of different directions. I'm going to say it's the Chiefs. You're going to say it's the Chiefs. But like you said earlier, we're wrong a lot. So maybe we'll be wrong here. I will tell you, Mark, I got the Nancy Drew reference. I don't know if that's going to land, I don't know.
I mentioned Nancy Drew on our show a couple weeks ago, and Dan Hansis, who I trust, he said people don't know who that is anymore. And it's like, I'm sorry. She had 65 massive mysteries. She was a teen girl that drove around in a convertible and solving mysteries around town. But apparently that's not chic today. So I get that.
It should be timeless. And you know what? For the hipsters out there listening, go to the library. Right. Maybe you check out a book and read some Nancy Drew, Get off your phones. Read a book. Right, Sessler?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to a library.
Go to a library. There you go. His name is Marc Sessler. You can check him out on the Heed the Call podcast. Mark, thank you so much for joining me, my friend.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right. I'll be right back with the Hurry Up. Today's Ringer 107 is brought to you by FanDuel. Did you see me go 5-0 last week? That was exciting. I'm not getting cocky. It was 1 week. Let's build on it. We're still tied for last place, looking to move up the rankings in this contest. All right, let's get to it. First game, I've got the Bears plus 2.5 at Minnesota. We talked yesterday about Ben Johnson, top 3 play caller in the NFL so far this season. Caleb Williams played well last week. They've got the most explosive offense in the NFL by the numbers. They can run the football. So I like what I see offensively. I don't trust the defense, but you know what? I also don't trust JJ McCarthy to take advantage of a bad defense. Now he could prove me wrong, but he could also be all over the place. So I'm going to bet on that. I like the Bears plus 2.5 at Minnesota. Second pick, Bills minus 5.5 at home versus Tampa. We talked about this game earlier. Sessler and I see it differently. I'm just not going to panic about the Bills. The number's a little bit high, but they're at home. They're coming off a loss. They need this game in the AFC East race. I think they take care of business here. Third pick, give me the 49ers minus 3 at Arizona. This feels like a square pick. I'm not going to lie. But the more I looked at the slate, the Cardinals are just so banged up. No Marvin Harrison on offense. Long injury report on defense. And the 49ers, it looks like they're going to get Brock Purdy back in this game. And even if they didn't, I like them anyway. I think they can move the ball with Brock Purdy or Mac Jones. So I've got the 49ers minus 3 at Arizona. All right, fourth pick, Chiefs minus 3.5 at Denver. Another game we talked about. Maybe the Broncos pass rush dominates, but do you really think the Broncos are going to be 9-2 and the Chiefs are going to be 5-5 after 11? It doesn't register to me. Maybe I'll be wrong, but this is a big spot for the Chiefs. Offense has played really well. They're second in EPA per drive, only to the Colts. I think they handle the Broncos. And then finally, Monday night, little contrarian play. I got to make up ground. Give me the Raiders plus 3.5 against the Cowboys. I know the Raiders stink, but you know what? That Cowboys defense makes every offense look good. So maybe they can keep it close. They kept it close last week against the Broncos. They can keep it close this week against the Cowboys. All right, today's Ringer 107 was brought to you by FanDuel, odds subject to change. Thanks to everyone for listening. Another fun week here. Appreciate all the guests who joined me. Thanks to Isaiah Blakely for producing, Kiera Givens on social, and additional production supervision by Conor Nevins and Arjuna Ramgopowell. I'll be back Monday morning breaking down the biggest Week 11 storylines. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next time on the Ringer NFL Show. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.